Somewhere in America right now, a person knows exactly what happened to Nancy Guthrie. They have seen the news. They have heard the tip line number read out loud on television. They have looked at that doorbell footage, those eyebrows, that mustache, that pinky ring, and they have felt something move inside their chest. And they still have not called. That is the person this entire investigation is now built around. Not the 40,000 who already called. Not the case theorists. Not the well-wishers. One person. The one who knows. On March 5th, the FBI told Fox News reporter Matt Finn that tips had tapered, and the true crime world panicked. They heard slow down. They heard the case going cold. They heard the end. They heard it completely wrong. What the FBI actually did on March 5th was not wave a white flag. It was pull back the net, pick up a spear, and aim it at exactly one target. Because they now know what they are looking for. They know the face. They know the timeline. They know the evidence trail. The only thing missing is the name. And that is where you come in. Nancy has been missing for 45 days. 45 days. If you've been following this case and you're still not subscribed, ask yourself why. One click could mean you're the first to know when she comes home. Let us put a number on the table. 40,000. Possibly 50,000. That is how many calls and tips flooded the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI tip line in the weeks after Nancy Guthrie disappeared on January 31st. Some weeks saw 4,000 calls arrive in a single 24-hour period, particularly after February 10th, when doorbell camera footage of the masked suspect was released to the public for the first time. Every single one of those calls required a human being to answer it, to listen, to record the information, to flag anything potentially actionable, to cross-reference it against known evidence. That is not a simple administrative task. That is thousands of investigative hours consumed, hours that could have been spent chasing leads with actual substance. CNN senior law enforcement analyst Josh Campbell said it plainly, bogging down investigators with a mountain of false leads could have slowed their effort as they sorted fact from fiction. In a kidnapping case where an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker needs daily heart medication to survive, every wasted hour carries a weight that cannot be measured. There is a difference between a tip drought and a tip purge. A drought means the public gave up. A purge means the FBI cleared the noise so they can finally hear the signal. The FBI confirmed this in an official statement. Submit only serious and detailed fact-based information. No well wishes. No case theories. The tip line is not for personal messages to the Guthrie family. That is not a retreat. That is precision. They went from fishing with a net to fishing with a spear. And while tips tapered on the outside, something else surfaced from inside that neighborhood. A damaged utility box discovered near Nancy's home is now under active investigation. Neighbors reported their home security camera footage from the early morning hours of February 1st is either missing or marked not available. FBI agents went door to door asking residents whether they noticed internet disruptions that night. Several confirmed they did. If that outage was deliberate, if someone cut connectivity to blind the neighborhood's cameras before walking onto that porch, this was not just a premeditated crime. It was a technically executed one. So the FBI has sharpened its focus. It has gone from a net to a spear. But what exactly is that spear pointed at? What does the FBI now need the one right person to come forward and identify? It is a face. A specific, forensically analyzed face, broken down frame by the FBI's Operational Technology Division, the same unit that recovered deleted doorbell camera footage from Google Nest backend systems after it was believed to be gone forever. That footage, released by FBI Director Kash Patel on February 10th, showed a masked individual on Nancy Guthrie's porch in the early morning hours of February 1st spending 41 minutes inside that home. And what forensic analysts pulled from that footage is far more specific than most people realize. The build is confirmed. Male, 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches average frame. He is carrying a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack, a brand sold exclusively at Walmart. He is wearing a ski mask, gloves, a zip-up jacket and long pants. And he has a handgun holstered at his waist. But here is what retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Steve Moore noted immediately. The holster and the gun do not match. A small semi-automatic pistol meant for concealment, holstered in a rig built for a large-frame revolver. Moore called it kind of ridiculous. That mismatch is a behavioral fingerprint. It speaks to someone who assembled this kit from different sources without professional guidance, and that is exactly the kind of detail that narrows a suspect pool. Then there is the tattoo. Former FBI Supervisory Special Agent and criminal profiler Jim Clemente analyzed the footage for Fox News Digital and identified what appears to be a marking on the underside of the suspect's right wrist, exposed when he reached out to grab brush from the front yard to cover the camera lens. Clemente said the suspect thought he destroyed the camera and the images it took. He did not. And in the process of trying, he revealed something that can never be hidden again. Tattoo expert Darren Rosa, with 30 years of industry experience, analyzed a zoomed-in frame of that same marking and told Crime Stories with Nancy Grace that the style appears consistent with gang-related ink, and was most likely done in prison. And then there is something even more critical that Clemente flagged. The suspect did not cover his mouth. 4:41 minutes inside Nancy Guthrie's home, he was breathing out DNA. His eyes, eyebrows, eyelashes, and mustache hair were all exposed. Any of those could have fallen and been left at the scene. Clemente said it directly, "Those are really big mistakes for someone who took the time to wear a mask, possibly two, at least one pair of gloves, possibly two, and a full bodysuit over his clothing." Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffin-Daffer assembled every visible identifier into one declaration. He is very identifiable. The eyebrows. The mustache. The pinky ring visible through his gloves, confirmed directly by Sheriff Nanos. The way he moves, described by former SWAT Commander Josh Skirard as something people recognize more readily than facial features. "We recognize people by the way they move," he said. "Someone who knows this person has watched that footage and felt something. They just have not called yet." And that is exactly who the FBI's new tip strategy is designed to reach. Here is where this case stops being a story about a missing woman and becomes something far more calculated, far more deliberate, far more chilling. Fox News Digital reviewed Google Trends records appearing to show a pattern of digital surveillance stretching back 9 months before Nancy Guthrie disappeared. Between June 21 and 28 of 2025, someone in Arizona searched for her home address in the Catalina foothills. Not Savannah Guthrie. Not the Today Show. The private home address of an 84-year-old woman living alone in Tucson. The address was then searched again through Google Image Search. Someone looking specifically for photographs or a map of the property. Once between March 1 and 8 of 2025, and again between November 30 and December 1 of 2025. Then on January 11, 2026, the address surfaced in searches one more time. January 11. That date matters deeply. Investigators requested doorbell camera footage from neighbors specifically covering January 11 between 9 p.m. and midnight. A neighbor who has lived in the Catalina foothills for nearly 30 years told News Nation she spotted a strange man near Nancy's home from her bathroom window that same morning. Street clothes, a baseball hat pulled low over his face, hunched over, moving slowly, stopping to stare at the street. She told the FBI the day after they visited her home. She said it all connected when they asked her specifically about January 11. Investigators also reviewed security camera footage from a second date, January 24, though the significance of that date has not yet been explained publicly. And then between December 13 and 20 of 2025, someone in Tucson searched for Savannah Guthrie's salary. Not Nancy's name. Not the address. Her famous daughter's salary. Someone was not just locating the target. They were calculating whether she was worth taking. Google told both Fox News Digital and Newsweek that Trends data is designed for large datasets and that a spike for an uncommon search is not definitive evidence that a search actually happened. That caveat is important and honest. But it changes nothing about what the FBI can access. They do not use Google Trends. They use subpoenas. The same legal pipeline that recovered deleted footage from Google Nest backend systems can pull the actual underlying search records, complete with IP address, device signature, and precise geographic location. If those searches happened, the FBI already knows who conducted them. The only question is what they are waiting for. While the public focused on the tip line, The FBI has been quietly assembling an evidence architecture more extensive than most people realize. Let us go through it piece by piece. The investigation has amassed approximately 10,000 hours of surveillance footage from cameras in and around the Catalina Foothills neighborhood. If a single analyst watched continuously without stopping, it would take over 13 months to get through it once. The FBI does not work that way. They deploy AI-assisted systems flagging specific visual signatures, vehicles of a particular type, individuals matching a physical description, motion patterns at specific timestamps. Footage obtained by Fox News Digital shows a car driving approximately 2.5 miles from Nancy's home around 2:36 a.m. on February 1st, directly inside the suspected abduction window. Former FBI agent Steve Moore was direct. That neighborhood is not a thoroughfare. If you go there, you meant to go there. Then there is the backpack. The suspect was carrying a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker pack, sold exclusively at Walmart for around $11. Sheriff Nanos called it one of the most promising leads in the case. Walmart provided purchase records covering all Ozark Trail Hiker sales across Arizona stores in the months before the abduction. Every receipt, every transaction. And investigators believe the suspect's clothing, face mask, and holster were all also purchased at Walmart, either in store or online. The DNA. Forensic teams recovered genetic material from Nancy Guthrie's property and ran it through CODIS, the FBI's national database containing over 26 million profiles. Not a single match returned. That means the suspect has likely never been arrested, never convicted, never had DNA entered into the system. So investigators turned to genetic genealogy, the same technique that cracked the Golden State Killer after 4 decades. A family member's DNA in any public database is enough to build a tree and put a name on a face. And then there is the pacemaker. Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker disconnected from its app on her cell phone at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st. Experts confirmed this disconnection most likely means she moved out of Bluetooth range from her phone, not that her heart stopped. Morgan Wright, CEO of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases, called the pacemaker the most unbiased witness in this entire investigation, because it sends telemetry data that does not lie and cannot be manipulated. Law enforcement deployed a signal sniffer, a portable radio detection device, mounted on a helicopter flying slowly at low altitude over the Tucson area, attempting to detect the pacemaker's Bluetooth signal and pinpoint Nancy Guthrie's location. Sheriff Nanos confirmed the tactic publicly, calling it a technique that could lead them straight to the suspect. The pacemaker is still out there. Still transmitting. Still waiting to be found. Now we get to the part of this investigation that changes everything. Because this is not just a disappearance. It never was. The first ransom note arrived at TMZ and 2 Tucson television stations days after Nancy vanished. It demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin for her safe return, and it contained specific details about Nancy Guthrie's Apple Watch and a floodlight at her home that authorities had never made public. Details that only someone who was actually inside that house would know. 2 deadlines were set, 5 p.m. on February 5th and 5 p.m. on February 9th. Both passed in silence. No proof of life. No confirmed contact between the family and the sender. Then on February 18th, TMZ received another note, requesting millions in a cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin, in an amount roughly equivalent to the original $6 million demand. TMZ's Charles Latibaudiere described it as a very elaborate demand that directly involves the media, putting media reporting on this case as a trigger into their payment system. TMZ called it a highly sophisticated demand that graphically describes the consequences if the ransom is not paid. The FBI has not authenticated any of the notes. But their arrival, weeks apart, each more technically sophisticated than the last, tells investigators something critical. Whoever is behind this is still watching, still communicating, still pushing. President Trump entered the case publicly on February 16th, warning the kidnappers they could face the most severe consequences, the death penalty, if anything happens to Nancy Guthrie. Arizona still has the death penalty. That warning did not slow the notes down. It accelerated them. And yet through all of it, the ransom notes, the deadlines, the cryptocurrency demands, Every expert who has analyzed this case arrives at the same conclusion. It breaks from the inside. Retired FBI Special Agent Greg Rogers said it plainly, often all it takes is one conspirator who wants out of the mess. Former FBI agent Maureen O'Connell was more visceral. They are in an air fryer, and it is just a matter of who jumps out first. Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffin Daffer was the most specific. A girlfriend who gets angry. A family member who finds a moral compass. Someone who looks at $1.2 million in anonymous cash and decides the loyalty is no longer worth it. That person exists right now. They have watched 45 days of news coverage. They have heard the tip line number read aloud on every network in America. They have seen those eyebrows, that mustache, that pinky ring, and they have felt something. And they have not called. Yet. The FBI has removed every barrier standing between that person and that phone call. Tips are fully anonymous. The reward is paid in cash at a neutral location with no identification required. Sheriff Nano said it with a simplicity that has anchored this case from day one. We believe somebody out there knows who did this. We need that person to call. If you know anything, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Submit at tips.fbi.gov. Be the one that brings her home.